Okay, back here on Arbella's Early Edition, along with Trenni and Kyle. We're very happy to have Kendrick Perkins with us. Of course, I mean, with the Celtics, we know all about Perk. Perk, what's going through your mind right now?
Well, I mean, my mind is all over the place, Gary. First of all, Kyle, Trenni, how y'all doing? Gary, thanks for having me on and, giving me the opportunity to join you guys. But, it's all over the place. I mean, you have mixed emotions and, the first thing that comes to everyone's mind is racism, right? And how can we fix racism? Well, we can't fix racism overnight. We've been trying to fix racism for over hundreds of years. I mean, so, realistically, the thing that comes to mind to me is how do we fix the system? And the system is, how can we, take that first step forward of nipping certain situations in the bud, it's almost to the point where we have to call police on the police. You know what I mean? So it's like, where do we go from here? Because think about it, people are protesting and they're having riots and everyone is screaming, no justice, no peace. But all this could have been nipped in the bud if those cops were arrested immediately. You're guilty until proven innocent and just leave it at that. I think you could nip a lot of this in the bud and we wouldn't have had a weekend of what we just had, which was really sad.
And you're right, Perk. I mean, think about it. If a normal citizen did what Officer Chauvin did, they would be placed in cuffs immediately and led away, charged with something, held or whatever. And so you're right about that. If the Minneapolis Police Department and District Attorney would have been decisive in that moment, maybe we could have avoided this. But, this is just part of the overall big issue, right? This is the system that you're talking about. The system is, no, we'll let the cops walk away and then we'll figure it out. And we need to change that system.
Perk, over the weekend, we saw a number of athletes attending rallies, speaking out. Jaylen Brown driving 15 hours down to Atlanta, Enes Kanter driving back to Boston from Chicago to participate. What role can sports play in changing the system? And not just athletes, but also sports media. How can we be a part of the change as well?
Well, I mean, just using our voices. First of all, you just got to give the flowers to all the athletes, all the media people that are standing on the front line and actually out there in the thick of things, because we all take for granted how dangerous that really is. You have people who spoke up for civil rights, like, the great Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and they died on being on the front line. So, first thing first, I want to say thank you to all the players that are out there, all the entertainers, and all the media people. So we just got to continue to use our voices. And like I said before, Trenni, we can't change racism overnight, but we can change the system, and our voices need to be heard. It don't matter what race you come from. It's just speak what's right, stand on and stand on what you believe in.
Perk, do you think now veterans will attempt to instill in young players, regardless of race, to speak out and to use their platform as a professional athlete on social matters?
Yeah, I think so. And if you look at it, it's leading by example. When you look at even a guy like Steven Jackson, who I think set the bar, and then all of a sudden Jaylen Brown, who's a younger guy in this league, say, oh, if Steve Jackson is out here, a retired player, and he's standing on the front line, then let me do it. Then all of a sudden, guess what? Jaylen Brown, he influenced Enes Kanter. So it's a chain reaction. So whether you're a veteran or a young guy, that don't matter. It's just about taking a stand and setting the trend. And I think Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask you, Kyle and Gary, we don't only just see players speaking out, but today Greg Popovich did a really powerful in the nation with Dave Zirin. Brad Stevens has spoken out. Adam Silver is leading the way. Kyle, what is it about the NBA and the coaches and the players in the NBA and what they've done? Like, where have they made the biggest difference in pushing these social issues forward?
Well, like Perk said, they're speaking out about it even more now, and I have to applaud them. And it's not just the players, and you mentioned the coaches as well. And I want to go back to the question too: what can athletes do? And Perk, we know, there will be racists in the crowds cheering you on because they like your team. They want you to do well. But what we need to do is make sure they see you, me, whoever it is, as an African-American man first, as a person first. It's amazing. You don't think racists cheered on Michael Jordan and were happy to see the Chicago Bulls winning? Yeah, but we have to see people as men first, African-American men first, and then athletes second. Just because I could dribble a ball, that doesn't make me any different from the guy on the corner, the guys in the neighborhoods. I'm the same as them, despite the paycheck or whatever it is.
Great point.
I think I'm sorry, Trenni, go ahead.
I was just saying, Perk, do you think athletes, and the reason they've been hesitant to speak out is because they see what happened to Colin Kaepernick, and they fear that they risk their livelihood by speaking out? And has that maybe now finally been diminished?
But I think it did play a part at first. But like I said, with Steven Jackson and older guys setting the trend, but you got to give. We have to give a lot of flower petals, roses, daisies, or whatever to Colin Kaepernick because he stood what he believed in. He took a lot of criticism. He was basically, forced out of the NFL for standing for what he believed in. And yes, that is intimidating to a lot of other sports athletes. Like, hey, I better not say too much. Even us in the media world, we watch what we say because we can't say this on air. It may cost us our job, but now it's to the point where it's like everyone is speaking up, and no one is going to look at you any different for speaking on how you feel, long as it's going about it the right way. So I think the floodgates have been open. I mean, obviously we can't go on here and say anything outrageous, but we can speak on the system. We can speak on racism right now because that's the problem. And the whole world is addressing it. So we got to use our voices, and I think we'll see more and more athletes start to use their voices. Y'all know what's crazy? So Ennis County and I had a back and forth Twitter beef about 2 months ago, right? He was mad at me about something I said on Twitter, and I went back at him. Do you know, right before I came on, I was on my Twitter, and he DM'd me and told me, hey, man, I appreciate you speaking out, man. I appreciate you letting your voice be heard through the media. And I did the same, and I told him I appreciate you also. That's the unity right there. So, like you could tell, Ennis and I, we never not liked each other, but we never were friends either. But instantly, that brotherhood came, together right then, just off of this instance. So, I mean, us joining together right now, it just could bring us all together.
In our previous segment, Sherrod made the point about having the uncomfortable conversation. And the uncomfortable conversation is a white person, an African-American person sitting down and honestly discussing, quite frankly, the mess we're in. Do you envision teams having meetings where white players and black players or European players, whatever, players of all ethnicities, sitting down and developing the same message? Because I think, at Sherrod's point, that's even more powerful. Is that going to happen?
I do. I think it's already happened. When you look at guys like Kyle Korver, when you look at guys like J.J. Redick, the white athletes that are playing, they have spoken out on behalf of African Americans. And I think it's not going to be a problem. This is conversation that's going to be had in the locker room, period. You look at Nick Collison. He spoke out on his social media. Nick's one of my favorite people in the world. Great guy all across the board. He instantly, when it happened, he donated $20,000 to the whatever fund, like taking action. So it don't go unnoticed. But like a quick story, like even yesterday, right? So, I have a 12-year-old, an 8-year-old that they have friends, and they go to a school that's predominantly white, like, 80% white. All their friends are white. I'm okay with that. I have white friends. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody, listen, it don't matter who you are. Races don't have a color or whatever. They have racist black people just like they have racist white people and racist Mexican, whatever. Cleanse your soul if you are racist. But I can't, it was a point yesterday when my sons were like, hey, Dad, my friend is having a pool party. Can I go? And I'm like, yeah, I'll let you go any other time. Why wouldn't I let you go this time? Like, you know, like at the end of the day, we have to nip that in the bud because our kids are watching. And I had to explain to them that racism don't have a color. It's black people that are racist. It's white people that are racist. So I had to sit them down and teach them that don't just get caught up in, oh, Black Lives Matter. It does, that's the point, but all lives matter. And I just had to give them that teaching point.
Perk, we could talk to you all day long. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. And Hoop's going to be back soon, and we'll see you on the air. We look forward to seeing you back on the air with us.
Gary, Kyle, Trenni, thank y'all so much. You know, it's always fun jumping on with my Boston family. I appreciate you guys welcoming me with open arms. And I thank y'all. Y'all be safe. And you know what? Keep speaking out.
Thanks, Perk. Great job. Thank you.